BCNDP and David Eby are communists. And I actually agree with the guy. I think he's a left-wing radical communist. I don't think he has any place in the political arena. All right, I wanted to comment on the political situation here. We've got a election coming up. Hopefully we see a blue wave. I'd like to see a conservative, common sense conservative government here. But recently, Chip Wilson put up a sign here. So if you don't know who Chip is, he's the guy who started Lululemon. He is a billionaire. He owns about a $70 million home on Point Grey Road. And he put up a sign saying that basically the BCNDP and David Eby are communists. And I actually agree with the guy. I think he's a left-wing radical communist. I don't think he has any place in the political arena. But anyways, I could see this coming a mile away, of course. This sign was graffiti bombed and defaced. Somebody was calling him a POS and a selfish billionaire. And he is a billionaire, very successful guy. I've met Chip Wilson. I've also read one of his books here on how he started his company. Very positive guy, which you'll find with most millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires are generally going to be, they're going to have a positive mindset. They have to achieve that kind of level of success. But of course, you should be aspiring to be more like Chip Wilson. How do I make something of myself? How do I build something? But of course, in BC, nobody wants anybody to be more successful than they are. They want to tear these guys down. Whoever defaced this sign was a total loser. Let's face it. Let's call a spade here. But, Eby is I think, an all-out communist. I think he's very dangerous to BC. But I had a comment on my channel, and this kind of summarizes, I think, how a lot of these types of people think. This guy says, I'm a hardcore federal Tory. I don't think he is. He says, I'm voting for David Eby. I can't see a conservative voting for David Eby, but maybe this guy's an outlier. Seeing these real estate developers go bankrupt, speculators getting effed, rent control is beautiful. Just because my parents didn't buy a house 20 years ago doesn't make me a have-not. Eby cares about renters and doesn't treat us as second-class citizens. The only people that can fix housing is the federal government shutting down immigration, cracking down on greedy landlords, hoarding houses, and fix the mortgage rules. So this is the kind of thing I've been on a tirade about. I want to touch on these topics here. So we have had an absolute war in BC on investors. BCNDP is not big on investment in housing. They think the government should run the housing sector. They have regulated the market, attempted to regulate and hammer the market into submission. The first thing they did that really impacted things was they capped annualized rent increases. So it used to be 2% plus inflation. They brought that down to just 2%. Then we had a 2-year rent freeze during the COVID pandemic. So a lot of investors, I was seeing them quietly selling off these investment properties because they could just see the writing on the wall that this is a very hostile business environment. And they know the history of the NDP. Look into these guys. They don't have the best track record on the economy here. So they cap the rent increases, but investors, their taxes, insurance, strata fees were going sky high. A lot of these investors got out of the business. Then Mr. Trudeau here and his Liberal government went and changed the capital gains inclusion rate from 50%, used to be taxed on 50% of the gain on an investment unit, to 67%. And I knew a ton of investors personally that cashed out ahead of that change because it's a hostile business environment. They've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in capital gains. Why not just cash out? We want nothing to do with the NDP government. And so that, of course, constrains the supply of rental product and actually drives rents sky high. And that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing these quality one bedroom concrete units, $2,800 a month, $2,900 a month, $3,000 a month. That's the impact of this. So he also says, this guy, he wants developers to go bankrupt. Well, I'll tell you right now, not many of them have gone bankrupt, but a lot of them have kind of shifted to the sidelines because, again, they don't want anything to do with the NDP. And that's why there's very little stratified condo product in the pipeline. Very little. There were a few ultra luxury developments capping off here for multimillionaires only, but that has shifted now to rental and these 99-year leases, which the NDP is a big proponent of. They think that you should lease your home from the government instead of what I propose. I'm a proponent of home ownership. I think Canadians and BC residents should own their homes. It's basically just a form of glorified renting, but it's pitched as a solution to the housing affordability crisis by the NDP. So if you're not building condo product and all you're going to be building is leasehold and rental, what do you think is going to happen to these freehold condos? The prices are going to surge. It's economics 101. I don't understand why these guys on the left, they don't seem to get it. He wants to fix the banking regulations. Well, first of all, the Canadian banking system is built like a brick shithouse. It's nothing like the US prior to the 2008 financial crisis. It's always been hard to get a mortgage in Canada, and it's getting harder. Ever since they brought in the mortgage stress test, the B20, you're qualifying at 2 percentage points higher. So you might get a mortgage at that time at 2.2%, but you were qualifying a couple rates higher. Now that interest rates have gone up here, that makes it incredibly challenging for first-time home buyers here. Interest rates are going to be coming down, though, which is a positive. So I will be doing some more content on that. But for a while there, you were taking a mortgage at 6%. You were probably qualifying close to 8%. That took a lot of first-time buyers out of the market. So that's the impact. These guys think you're going to tax and regulate the market into submission, but it's not going to work. It's not the solution here because we have a supply problem. Taxes make things worse. You need to get the government out of the damn way and encourage investment in more housing because we have a housing shortage here. But Chip Wilson, getting back to this guy, he's got a new sign now. It says, "Voters forget when Eby gives you money, it's the voters' money that has already been taken." This is what these guys don't understand. They think that Eby and the NDP are really interested in helping you, but it's all smoke and mirrors here. And on that note, the provincial debate, I don't know if you guys caught this the other week. Eby, I've never liked this guy, but I can tell you, I was very unimpressed. I was watching it on Global News, and the news anchors seemed to think he did a good job. But people on the news and in journalism, I find, tend to be heavily biased towards the left for whatever reason. I thought he was absolutely brutal. I thought he was arrogant. He appeared extremely agitated. John Rustad was very calm. He was cool. He was collected. He was composed. I think he's kind of the steady hand that would drive, kind of run the ship and drive the BC economy going forward. I feel like he absolutely crushed them, and the polls are starting to reflect that now. I think we're going to hopefully see a blue wave in BC. If we get a Pierre Poilievre as a prime minister as a federal government, and we get a provincial government, conservative as well, that is going to be absolutely fantastic in my opinion. But let me know you guys who you are intending to vote for in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.